It's the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Black Real Estate Dialogue podcast. Before we get into this episode, a few quick announcements. Please, if you have not already, leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you may be listening to this. It helps us go up in the rankings. It helps us to reach more people and spread this message all over the world. And if you do leave us a 5-star rating and review, I'll read your review on the show so that everyone can hear it. Very excited about this episode. Here with me today, I have Yamundow Camara out of Atlanta. And Yaamu came to the States in 2016. She did her first deal in April 2020 out of state. She did her second deal in July 2020 out of state. And she now has 28 doors, including an 8-unit that she rents out to travel nurses. So whole lot of game. We're going to dig into all of that today on this episode. So Yaamu, thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Samuel, for having me. I'm excited.
Definitely. And also thank you for listening to the podcast. So before we started the episode, you let me know that you are a listener to the show. So I that means a lot, and I really appreciate that.
I'm a huge fan. So much knowledge in that.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank you. So Yaamu, you did your first deal just a couple of years ago. And so why did you get into real estate? How did you get into real estate? Talk to us about the beginning.
Okay, so I'm from West Africa, the Gambia, a small country, population about 2.5 million. I lost my parents very young. I was raised by my sister and my, extended family. We live in extended families. So my sister had to get married to take me and my brother. We're like five years difference. So she has to take us to her extended family, and it's kind of hard, like growing up without your parents. And actually, in Africa, like where we live in extended families, you always know that you don't belong. And because the household usually is like brothers, all brothers have a house in a room, in a compound, and then they have their wives, multiple wives. So everyone has the same last name. So you're not, actually the household name is named after the last name. So like Kamara Kunda or Samuel Kunda, whatever. So it's usually like, you don't belong because everyone else has the same last name and everyone could go. So I was always interested in real estate. I was always fascinated by people in their houses, like your family, like a whole family dynamic in their house. I've always been like that excites me. So I came to the US in 2016. I studied computer science and mathematics in Africa, coming from a family where I'm the only one who made it to college. So I had like scholarship that would push me forward until I was able to get to university level, and I got a scholarship to study there. So everyone, of course, wanted me to be a doctor. Like, okay, you're the only educated one, you're going to be a doctor. So it was kind of dictate what you're going to be. I don't like chemistry, even though I had to do it just to get like an A. I don't like biology. So being a doctor anywhere near blood is not me. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I just stumbled upon computer science because it was a new program then. So we'll have international professors that are taking like a vacation or whatever time to like teach in the third world country, right? So we will have scholars from different universities that will teach us. So usually it's like a cram course or whatever. So the university had the program newly, like they just started program when I joined. So it was like, we were like the first batch. So from computer science, I would be the only female. Math class, I would be the same scenario. So my last semester, there's a software company startup that it was opened, and it was like recruiting students. So I was fortunate enough to get that internship. So after I graduated, I was able to like work full time. So in my final semester, I kind of like, okay, they know girls. Like even the girls that I started with, I end up dropping out and taking all the courses. So I'm like, okay, let me start this program, nonprofit, where I teach girls how to cook. So it kind of took off. And then there was this program that initiated by President Barack Obama and Nelson Mandela. So basically what it does, it takes exceptional youths from Africa and then give them a fellowship to study in the US university and later meet President Obama. So it's a selection of like 40,000 applicants all over Africa, right? So they only take like the 1%. So I guess in my community, what I was doing was like teaching girls IT. So I usually just take high school students, girls. And then we do it regionally with like few laptops. So it kind of blew off, and I applied. I went through different. I didn't think I was actually, it was a pleasure just to be part of the process. Going to the U.S. Embassy for interviews, rounds and rounds, and then they said the decision is gonna come from D.C. It was just exciting, and it was being published as we go. So I was applying, going through an interview processes, and I was like, okay, I'm going. So before that, I've also by this time I've already worked like 5 years or 4 years at the startup company, even though I was getting like managerial position, because there were not a lot of people that do like computer programming stuff. So but this is the thing, like you're working someone else, because I know the value of the work I put in is making the company millions, but somebody else outside will be like, you should be grateful for 16,000. A kid like you, like you just, especially when you're not married, Africa, it's like you're single, you don't have any responsibilities. That's how they look at it. So you're like, you're able to take care of your family, this is enough. But me being educated and knowing that I want more, it's not enough, because I know how much the company is making with all these deals, right? And all this programming that we do. So that's kind of like, I was like, already before this Mandela Washington Fellowship Program came into, I started applying to it. I've already been looking like a way for it. Like, I'm also gonna go do my master's and come back and open my own company like he did, right? So I was already applying through different universities. So my country is colonized by the British, so it's easier to get a visa to study outside. Even when we have university scholars, it's easier for them to come from. We usually get them from Europe. So I never thought about the Americas because I don't have family here. Well, in the UK, I don't have family, but it's easier. A lot of people go and come, right? So I will apply, but I will get partial scholarship. Mind you, me coming from nowhere, like scholarship is the reason I made it to where I am, right?
Yeah.
Of course, God, right? So I would apply to all the universities that I saw has a scholarship, and I'll get a partial scholarship, and it would be like, I would just have to come out of pocket 2,000, whatever. But I don't have 2,000. Like, I don't even know. I've never left my country. So I was like, okay, UK is not it. Let me look into the Americas. So I'll go to a university that has like a lenient requirement, and I'll just apply for everything and apply for the scholarship. So there was this university in Illinois that I applied to, University of Illinois, and I got the admission. Then I went ahead and then applied for all the scholarships on the side. Once the application was done, they were like, don't call us, they'll contact us, we'll let you know. But that I didn't even read the part that is for international students that are already in the university and are about to graduate. So I applied, but I guess like a few weeks later, I was like, they didn't reply to me. Let me go check. So I went and checked. Mind you, by this time I'm going through the fellowship interview because it's phases. So I checked the site. It said, okay, this is for international students that are already here, not outside. But then a few days later, I was like, that makes sense. So I saw an email from the university saying, actually, you don't qualify, but this is a long shot. So we're going to give you an opportunity, right? It's competitive. There's a lot of international students, of course, in the university, and everyone's applied because it's free scholarship. It's like a graduate assistant. So you work for the university based on research, and they waive your tuition fee, and they give you a stipend, like 1,000 or something stipend after taxes. So they were like, okay, we'll give you a chance. Here's the interview link, whatever. I was like, we don't have internet at my house. Like, I only have internet access when I go to work. So I was like, let me talk to my boss and see if it's okay if I could stay and take this interview. Mind you, when they sent the interview, they didn't check the time difference. It was like midnight.
Wow.
Back home, like in the middle of the night. Excuse me. So I told my boss, and he was like, yeah, you can actually stay. So I would just tell the caretaker, which is like security, that you'll be here, you'll be spending the night. So I set up the conference room, everything, and they were like, no noise, no this, no blah, blah, clear internet, clear background, whatever. And then I logged in, it was like 5 white people in front of my face. And I'm like, I've never seen 5 white people in my life at the same time, because in my New Africa, you don't really see, there's no diversity. Everywhere you see is Black, right? Except you go to the hotel or something, then you see someone different. So I was so terrified. I was like, oh my God. I was like, but what are they gonna say? The worst they could say is no, like it's a long shot anyway. So I logged in, started the interview. I was super nervous. But then when it started like asking me the questions, I was getting into it because I know what I was doing. So I was like, it's a long shot, but I know I'm not gonna get it. The way they put an emphasis on it's competitive. It's a lot of, applicants. Just a few days later, I got the Yali. They announced the people that got it, the finalists, and then I came to office and there was an email saying that we loved you so much. You won the scholarship. We did not even go like we've made the decision already based on like what we saw. So I had to call the US Embassy and say, I know you guys just got me this, but I just got this. They were like, okay, there's no time and you'll be leaving soon. So we just have to give you another visa. So I was able to get 2 active visas at the same time. So I had to come with the presidential visa was just for the program. And then after I placed on Northwestern University, and then I was flown to DC to meet President Obama. So after that, I have to go back to Africa. It takes about a day and a half, or almost 2 days to get there. And I have to come back because school starts on Monday. So I met President Obama Thursday, left on Friday. I got there like Saturday and I had to come back because Monday was school to start the scholarship. So that's how I came to the US.
Got it. And so take us to when you discovered that real estate is a vehicle you wanted to use to build wealth. Take us to that moment.
Okay, so like I already mentioned, like I'm the only one from my family that made it to college, that even made it like, to come to the US abroad. So it's always considered, as you already know, a lot of opportunities, right? So if I come here, my whole family depends on, okay, if there's a problem, I'm going to be the one fixing it, right? I mean, that was already established back home because everyone's like proud, oh, she's going to be doing this, or, change the life. Because that's what everyone wants too, right? You want to be able to go back and help your family. So I knew, I was like, this is not going to work. Mind you, I've already tasted how hard 9 to 5 is, right? Because I've worked 9 to 5 all my life and I really did not have any saving, even though I was getting paid a lot of money in my currency, right? So on my level, like just graduated from school. So I was like, I'm not gonna come here and do the same thing to work and take care of them. So, because if I do the 9 to 5, it was just a routine. I work, I don't save, I send it. Whatever I have, I use it. So it was like hand to mouth. So I was already interested in real estate. And at this point, because I read a lot, right?
Yeah.
I'm a reader, like basically just read all the books in the public library. Anything that's available, I will read it. So I've been reading and I stumbled across a lot of networks that would talk about real estate and how the importance of real estate and how it's changed your life. And everyone that you know, that you meet that has like wealth, or it's like somebody you look up to, they always tell you, oh, our family have 3 homes, or we have a vacation home over there. When we're not there, we rent it out. Like you hear those things. And then obviously it's like everybody says you have to get into real estate if you want to build wealth. So okay, my first research was, what business would I do? Because I've been thinking of, okay, buying real estate would be back home, not here. Like it's not even like come to the US and buy a house. That was like beyond me. Like I never thought that was possible. So like when I was like, actually they have loan programs here and they have like, so many incentives that I could use to start. So I started doing research. I was like, okay, if I want to do this, I'm going to focus 100%. So I opened a private social media page just for me to follow people that are doing things that I want to do, like real estate, financial literacy, everything that has to do with betterment. That's what I'll do. And I'll just forget my personal social media. It's like, we don't see you online. We don't do that. If I have time, when I'm cooking, I'm listening to different podcasts. When I'm driving, the same thing. So I kind of like changed my mindset to get into it first, like surround myself. Everything that I see in my social media or my feeds are all real estate stuff or investment stuff or like generational wealth. So that's how I started. So I've come across a lot of podcasts, food networks, Bigger Pockets, your podcast. I like subscribe to all of them just to surround myself with like what I want to be. That's how I got started. Yeah.
Love it. So it sounds like you dove right into learning the information and you closed your first deal in the middle of a pandemic. And so talk to us about that first deal. And it was also out of state. So I would love to talk about that too, but talk us through your first deal.
Yeah. So you already know at the university, I was a student, right? Hand to mouth. They waive my tuition fee. They give me a stipend. I have 2 roommates. So we pay the rent. I'm only left with like $50, $100 a month, right? So that was like a huge struggle, right? So even though it's less $1,000, right? Because the US and you work, you still have to pay taxes. So it's not a lot that I'm keeping. So with that, I was like, okay, I have done so much research already, like 3 months about real estate and stuff. Once I start having my job, because I was an F1 student, and you have to, when you graduate as an F1, you got the OPT to get a company to sponsor a visa so you can work, right? So I
Mhm.
wasn't, it was hard for me to get it, and I was applying to all this job, and I'll get the jobs, but I will not get the, they're not looking to sponsor. They'd rather just take somebody that didn't have to go through immigration. So when I finally got my job at CDC, I was waiting because I know the bank would ask for, you have to at least get some source of income coming in. So at this point, remember, I just came, my credit score is like 5 something. I just started work September 2019. So it was like few months after work is when the shutdown happened. So around December, COVID was already hitting, but did not hit the US as like other countries. So there was no shutdown. So I was still looking for deals, analyzing the deals. So I was like, okay, when I went to the bank and I was like, I call all the local banks in the area because I know, okay, I don't know anywhere else from Africa. I know Illinois. And then I moved to Georgia. I know I cannot afford, and Alpharetta, I was like, there's no way I can afford a house here. So I
Yeah.
started looking where I studied. I was like, okay, around that area I can, let me look further a little bit. So I keep going town and town, and then just do research on those in those markets. So I was like, okay, I'm ready. So I called all the local banks. If I'm gonna buy in this city, let me call all the local banks. Call all the local banks. No, no, no. Of course, you hear no, because they don't even want to bother to explain to me that you need credit. Nobody tells me anything about credit. I don't know anything. I'm coming from Africa, like I don't know. I know this university gave me a debit card, and that's where my money goes to my account, and I can access it through the debit card. That's it. But I don't know anyone at that time to teach me about credit or how important credit is to start building. So I
Yeah.
didn't have any credit. It was very bad. I didn't even have a credit card. So I
Yeah.
got one bank to listen to me, and they were like, well, we will help you. We see that like based on our conversation, because I set up meetings after when they like say, okay, we'll like to talk to you.
Yeah.
So I, you know, talk about all the stuff that I know I want to start, blah, blah, blah. So they were like, okay, we would like to help you, but you have to have first of all, your credit score is super low. You just started working 3-4 months ago, so you don't have a lot saved up or history there. We know that you did file for taxes while you were a student because you're working like, yeah. So they were like, well, this is what we recommend. We would like to give you a chance, but you have to go like build up your credit. Of course, they would say that. And I was like, well, how long would that take? There's like 6 months to 1 year to whatever, but you should see some, some increase after 6 months or so for sure. They were like, okay, go get the Discover card or Capital One or do a secured, like whatever, secured card. So I did all of that. And I was like, I don't think I could wait like 6 months. I was like, based on my research, I know the banks just focus on the deal. If the money makes sense,
Right.
they will finance it. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find them a deal that they will not be able to reject. So there's this small town where off Chicago, like 2-3 hours Chicago.
What's it
Small town, but it
called?
has Springfield, but it has a hospital. It has two big hospitals. So I look at, and we'll get to that, like how I find these towns. I'm looking for hospitals because those are my nurses are my target goal. But the beginning was Section 8. So I was like, okay, let me find a house that, okay, I know I have 10,000 saved up. Let me find a house that I could use the 10,000 to put a down payment. So I found this triplex. It's 2 units upstairs, 1 unit in the middle, the main unit, and then the downstairs is 2 bedroom. So I was like, okay, so the landlord was going through a divorce, and I found this out later. So it was listed for 60 something. I got it for 52 on the contract, mind you, without no approval. They were desperate too. So I reached out to the
Wow.
bank and I was like, hey, can I set up a meeting? Because now I got them to listen to me, and I did everything like the secure card, all of that, right? But I'm not waiting for that. I just want to get started. I was ready. So I analyzed the deal, everything. And I was like, and I had my arguments ready. I was like, even if the tenants don't pay, even if just one tenant pay, my mortgage is like 3 something. And I put it,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, even if I did it at 15 years instead of 30, it's going to be 3 something. I can pay that. But even when they were like, okay, we'll call you back. And then they reached out and they was like, okay, send us this document. I got everything ready already because I know what they would need. Send all of that. And then
Right.
they approved, and I was already on the contract. So after I closed on the properties, when I realized that the property manager was lying, you know how they give you like the PDF of the rent roll? It was all fake. They were not paying rent because of COVID. One of them was month to month. I was actually found a place. It was about she was moving her things already. So there was
Wow.
some stuff. Yeah. So it was like only one tenant that was active, but she was behind rent as well. The other one was like behind rent like 7-8 months. So I had inherited tenants. So I learned the hard way. Like the day I started, I inherited the tenants, and it was so complicated. So the property manager lied, the agent lied, just wanted to close. So but I was like, well, I'm already in, and I promised the bank this will work. I can't mess this up. So I was like, I will make it work. So I used my I paid one of the tenant, I think $300 for cash for keys, because that unit was
Wow,
the
they only
one
took
that,
300. Wow,
yeah,
that's
300.
great.
Yeah, $300 or two something. Yeah. So they were already leaving, right? But because it was already COVID, they know what they have, like what the law is for them. So she was happy to take the 300. So that unit was in a better shape. So we just cleaned it out and rented it out. So I took that money and put that money on the next on the tenant upstairs. So her lease was already ended. So I put that money, did some little paint here and there. So I had a property manager, of course, because I live at, and when you're reading, they say, oh, you get a property manager, you did that. But I wish I was able to manage it myself a little while so I could get it. So I just listened to the property manager because I felt like, okay, he's managing a lot of property. He knows these things more than me. So I gave him too much power. I later found out that like the work that we were putting in, so if he tells me, the contractor said, so it's his contractor, he comes with his contractor. So he would say, the contractor said, you know, it's gonna be 5,000 to do the flooring, blah, 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 or to do the upgrade. But then the contractor charged him 3,000 and he would charge me extra. So I
Right,
found out because a lot of things didn't make sense. So I was
right.
like, I know something is fishy and I can't prove, and this is my first property, I cannot mess this up. So I started already looking for another property manager because I was like, let me find someone else. So I did all the calling, and I was like, I don't want a property manager that has too many doors or a property manager that has less to it. Like I want a sweet spot so they can like, it's actually an investor friendly one. So I found this property manager, and it was a lady, a nice lady, and she was like, what's the property? You know how they ask the property information so they can look at it and meet the tenant, whatever. She was like, what? You will never believe I'm the one who was managing this property. And I must tell you, they asked me to cook the numbers so they can sell, because the seller was in a bitter divorce. So yes, those numbers were from me. And I was like, wow, but it was good for me to find out a lot of things about the property.
Yeah,
And then she told me, and I was like, well, how much would it, I thank you for all this info, but um how bad was your, like, the cash flow coming in? So she told me the problem, why the other tenants were not paying, because they felt like the landlord wasn't fixing things that they wanted. So there was a lot of like information that I got from there. So she kept saying, but my contractor, and she kept saying the same name that my current property manager says. And
right.
I'm like, do you mean this contractor? And I gave the full name. It was like, yes. I was like, yeah, he does work for me very cheap. And I was like, so how much would he do flooring for? Or how much would he do this for? And she was telling me, but because I didn't tell her the story yet. So after we get, women, we talk. So I was like, so would this make sense? So I ran the numbers. I was like, no, he would never charge for that. He does a lot of properties, a lot of work for some of my out-of-state investors as well. So that's when I knew the numbers were off. So I was like, can I have his number? She was like, well, I will give you his Facebook, but I'm not comfortable giving a number. So I have to ask him first. So she asked him, but I couldn't wait. I went on Facebook, stalked him, got everything. And I called him and I was like, I'm an investor. I'm looking to invest in this area. I heard you're good, whatever. And then after I was like, later on, I told him, I'm the owner of this property. He was like, oh, wow. I manage that property for two property managers. So I was like, I have two questions to ask you, because if I'm going to go into business with you, I want you to be honest with me. Well, he doesn't care. He's an older guy. He said, well, I don't want to come in between you and your property manager, but that's not
Mhm.
how much I charged him. So he gave me everything in charge. So I knew, I got proof now that he was lying. So he
So what'd
would
you do to
take,
the property manager?
I fired him. I
Yeah, what was
fired
that
him and
conversation like? Having to fire a property manager so early.
it was so, because I was going through, because I knew this is the thing. I was working so hard. I don't have enough money. Like, I don't have money. I'm just starting up. And then the feeling that somebody is stealing from you, but you don't know how big of a steal it is. Because I'm Googling, I'm researching, I'm calling other contractors out of state to ask, how much would this be? How much would that be? But the numbers are still adding. I'm like, no matter what, even if you're stealing like 1,000 or something, but I knew it was like 2,000 more, 3,000 more. That was a lot. But then one thing though, the contractor knows the work. He knows his work. So the work looks nice, but it's still not worth that. Especially if hearing from another property manager give you the numbers that are like half of what you got charged for. So I fired him, and the conversation was tough. I wrote the email multiple times. I read it. And I was like, this is aggressive. No, but I was like, I'm the one who worked her. I was like having, because
Yeah.
that's my first time having somebody working with somebody like that. So it was tough, but I sent that email and I was like, I told him I talked to the contract. So it's not like, so that's how it wasn't like I was lying or anything. And the contractor was like, well, if you guys want, I'll be free to talk to both of you. So that's how I got that contractor too. But I always look at it as a lesson
Yeah.
that became a blessing because that contractor ended up doing all my projects and we work together still now. Basically made me a millionaire.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
what was the response to that property manager? Like, did they just take it like, all right, cool?
Yeah, I want to set up a meeting and let's go hash things out. I was already done. When I sent that email, I felt something. Like I felt like something lifted because the confrontation is what I was avoiding. But
Yeah.
sending the email, not having a video call, like there's nothing to tell me. He's
Right.
telling me that you paid him this much. Like he's not gonna lie, he's an old guy and he doesn't care. So we had so much work going on. So if he's telling me this, where are these numbers coming from? And why am I not? Even if you say, okay, it went through this, went to this part of the project. Why didn't I know that now? Why do I have to find out this way? Even though
Right.
I did not end up hiring the property manager lady, but it was
Yeah.
good to have that information from her. I went with another property manager.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
so there's a couple of things that I'm picking up that I really want people to pay attention to. The first thing is what I'm noticing already from the first deal, we haven't even talked about any other ones, is that you seem to be relentless and you don't take no for an answer. For example, when you were talking about you called, how many banks do you think you called to try to get some financing?
I think it's more than 10 though. So I, even though I called most of the local banks, I still call like other banks like Chase banks
Yeah.
that PNC and all of that, but the
Yeah.
local ones were more responsive.
Got it. So you called
Yeah,
a number of banks, and the
a
bank
lot of
who told
banks.
you it'll take this period of time, you're like, all right, I'll get the cars and do what y'all tell me to do, but I'm coming back with something that you can't refuse. And
Yeah.
so that's the first example. The second example is, a lot of investors, especially new investors, and I fell into this boat too. You feel kind of shy at first, especially when you're dealing with a property manager. You kind of defer to them because you think they might know better than you, but eventually you're able to see that what they're saying is not adding up. And I've been through that too. Like I've had to fire a property manager. So I think it's great that you investigated and really dug into the numbers and into the information that they were giving you to check it. And I want people to understand that too. Like you have a voice as well. Like you can confront and ask questions to the property manager. And you really need to make sure that you're properly vetting the property manager. So I think it's great that you did those two things very early on. And also, you could have just quit and said, you know what, this is too much of a headache. I don't think real estate is for me. However, you decided to take that lesson and continue to move forward. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that property now, after once it's fixed up, I make about, so I had Section 8 tenants in there. So every month I make like a little less than $2,000. I think like 1,900 and something. So almost $2,000 my mortgage, because I was so desperate with the bank. I said, don't even make it 30. Now I regret why I said that, but I was like, make it 15, I'll pay. So my mortgage is like $350 something a month, but I'm making like $2,000 there.
Are you looking for a community of like-minded individuals and access to experts in real estate?
Yeah.
Are you interested in real estate but need more support and guidance?
You know who it is?
The Black Real Estate Dialogue presents the Real Estate Investing Community. No matter how much or how little real estate experience you have, we've created a community for you because your perspective is important. All right, tell me, where's the #1 place where you can do Q&A with experienced guest speakers 2 times per month? How about unlimited access to past guest speakers' recordings? What about a private Slack channel to engage in daily discussion with everybody in the community to share resources and support each other? Head on over to blackrealestatedialogue.com. That's blackrealestatedialogue.com. It's the real estate investing community presented by the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Come join us today.
A little less than $2,000. So I've been cash flowing that property. So a few months later, I'm like, I'm ready to repeat this again, but I'm not finding any deal. Of course, you're not gonna find a deal like that again. Like you might, but it's not always like that easy. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
at this point, I'm so interested. Like it changed. I was like, even though the beginning was hard, now that seeing a property has appraised higher, 40,000 over, and it's fixed up, and I'm having tenants coming in, and now it's like I'm in business because the bank can see like a track record. She has 3 units that are cash flow. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm ready to do this again because I know now they're not gonna say, and my credit is being built for the 3 months, right? So it's like, where else from the podcasts and other interviews that I listen to and like my research, a lot of people say Cleveland is a landlord friendly city, right? Landlord friendly state. So it's like, maybe I should look into that. So I just started doing my research in Cleveland area, and I'll just reach out to people on like different platforms and say, hey, my name is Yaamu. I'm a new real estate investor. I'm looking to invest in Cleveland. Do you have any advice or whatever? And a lot of people that I reach out to would say, hey, welcome, but don't invest here. Invest here. This is B area. This is B area. This is C area. Don't go D here. This is the war zone. But all the areas that are telling me, I just started working. I don't have that kind of money to invest in. Like I have to like
Right.
look for something that works for me. So it's like the areas that they're telling me to not to invest in are the ones I can afford. And looking at it is like, you mean like the black area mostly? That
Of
they were
course, that's
saying it's
what they
the D
mean.
area. Yeah.
That's
So,
exactly what they
but
mean.
yeah, but I didn't know this after I knew. I
Yeah.
was like, I can live on this street. Like all I see is people like me. Like I can live here. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna listen. This is what I can afford. So I went ahead and I closed on the duplex. That duplex. So there was a lady. She's a lawyer. And she has a construction company. So she gets properties from tax sales. Then she would fix them up and rent them and rent them turnkey or sell it turnkey. So I was able to close on this deal for 68,000, right?
Wow.
And yeah, imagine my down payment, 20% of 68. So all in, I was like less than 15K or whatever. So give the bank the tenants leases and everything. They new tenants. There's a seven something upstairs, 6 something downstairs. It's a duplex, right? So even though people say it was a D area, it's a D, but C coming. It will be C area very soon, right? It's not that bad of a D. So I just went in. I know it's gonna cash flow every month. I'm gonna have my rents coming in every month, and it's Section 8, right? And the tenants pay all the utilities. That property brings me about 1350 since then, and I've never been to Cleveland. But it the same people that were telling me, and like I could see from the mails that they sent me, the same people. I'm like, this is the same person I talked to. They're sending me a mail to buy that property for double what I bought it for. They're offering like 135, but I bought it for 68. When I'm like, this 7 months ago, you guys told me not to buy this house. And I'm like, I'm not selling it because I'm cash flowing. So what's the point of if I want to
Right.
refinance? Because I know if you're offering me 135 for something that I bought 68,000 less than a year ago, something's wrong, right?
Yep.
So, and I know even if I sell it to you at 135, what's your profit? I know there's something that you will make there. So
Oh yeah.
whatever you're offering me, my house is not worth that. So I know my house is worth more than what you're offering me. So I never sell, but it's nice to know to call and say, okay, well, how much would you pay for it? Okay, we can close in 3 days. But I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'll think about it. But it's good for me to know how much it will sell for, how much it has appraised, right? So I don't listen. After that, I'm like, I'm not listening to anybody. I'm gonna invest what makes, because whatever I'm doing works, right?
Right.
So right now I'm able to afford 100,000, 200,000, half $1 million house because of those houses that I buy for cheap that people tell you not to buy. So I just don't listen. I'm not gonna ask somebody who never invested in real estate about real estate, because when I started, like, so my third deal, I was buying cash at this point, like
Yeah.
10,000, 15,000 houses.
Before we get to the third deal, there's a couple of things I
Mhm.
want to make sure that we take from what you just said. There are
Mhm.
so many people who have this whole, oh, this is like a war zone, this, that, and the other. And typically it's where we live, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised that those same people who are trying to tell you not to invest in those areas were trying to buy your property in those
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah.
And it's so important for us to invest in our communities, right? Invest in general, but especially in communities with people who look like us, because the reality of it is, like, the hood is not going to be the hood anymore. I mean, we're
Yeah.
seeing it in every large city. Things are
Yeah.
changing, there's gentrification and all
Yeah.
these things. Like, you know,
Mhm.
there's opportunity there, and we shouldn't turn away from opportunity and such great cash flow and being able to put good standards of housing just because somebody on the internet said this is not an A or B area. You know, sometimes you just got to trust your instinct, you got to trust your research and invest. So I'm really glad that you did that.
Yeah, thank you. So at that point, I've already have my second deal, the same bank, the same people. So it's like easy when I found a deal. So I was like, okay, at this point, I think I'm ready to like, I saw a deal for like 15K. So when I see houses like 15, 13K, I would just buy them and I would just fix them with my contract for like 10K, 12K. So even though I know I don't have 12,000 to pay him, right? I put in all my money to buy the house. So I don't even have any money to pay him, right? I know that, okay, Section 8 money is coming for the first of the month. So I know, okay, that I will at least get $3,000-$4,000 coming in plus whatever my job pays me, and I'll pay the contract. So I'm not paying the contractor in full. So I know, okay, by the time the 2 weeks is done, after I give you this 5,000, by the time 2 weeks done, I will get another 5,000. So I was just like, because I know money is coming. I was like, okay, I'll pay you on the first. So mind you, at this time, I don't have anything. Everything I have, I felt like I was late because I worked so much and I didn't save anything. So coming starting here, I'm like, I'm giving this my all. All my money goes in there. Like before closing, I'm checking, okay, what's the closing cost after the down payment? I'm only left with like, because the bank wants you to see at least some reserve. I'm struggling with the number. I'm like, okay, by the time we close, I think it would buy the first. So I will calculate because I'm tight with money when I started. So after this point, I'm buying 13,000 houses, put in 7,000, put it on Section 8 for 1,500 because I'm buying 4, 5-bedroom houses, and a lot of markets in that area. A lot of landlords are doing Section 8 that they don't go for like bigger houses because it's like, oh, they will tear up your house, because for me, my tenants pay all the utilities. If I have to pay for sewer, it's like every quarterly, I will still send you that bill. If it's really low, I'll just pay for it. But then if it goes higher, I give you like a limit and say, if it passed this is what you pay. But yeah, so I started buying cheap ones for cash. And then if I see a deal that is like more than what I have, more than what I don't want to put in, I would just go with the bank and I would take the Section 8 money and fix up that house as I go. So that's how I scaled.
Definitely. And is this still
Yeah.
in Cleveland?
Yeah, so I did Cleveland and then Illinois area. I just do Midwest. And I still live in Atlanta. Yeah.
Got it. So the first deal was in Springfield, and it sounds like the next deal was in Cleveland. And since then, has it been Cleveland and Springfield or other areas?
No, around Springfield, like all the cities around Springfield and around cities. Yeah. So I would just take any city that's like 30 minutes away. I mean, so something that's close by, just around that area, because then because I've already built a whole team and whole automation system. So it'd be hard to like start over. I was like, okay, let me stick here, get the money because the money is good, the rental income is strong, and they can walk around. So like, I know you are like, on my social media, I've posted like my contractors do actually come and stay in the property and fix it because they like live 1 hour away or 30 minutes away or 45 minutes away. So that's like a system that worked for me. For me, like, it's not about, okay, I want this market, so I can say, oh, I have this door over here, I have this door over there. It's not about that. For me, it's the ROI. If the return on investment makes sense, that's where I'm going. I've built my team there. The numbers are looking good. I'm not going to leave to look for another market if it doesn't work. So with Cleveland, the same thing. It works for me. I keep doing it. I keep repeating the process because now my contractors know what kind of paint I like, what kind of job I like, how I want my flooring, everything. So they understand the property managers understand what is expected from them. So I've built a system there. Now, if I see another market or my market is saturated, or I can see, okay, let me spread my wings, I will do the same thing and build in that city as well. So I will have a handyman, even though I have a general contractor that does the work because I'm not there. So he would work on bigger projects. So I don't want to draw him from there. I would just have a handyman do those tiny things. So it's like a contractor and his team that do the work, like a distressed property fixing up. And then I'll have handyman, and then I'll have my property managers. And now because of my short-term rentals, I have cleaners added to the team. So if I go in a market and I set up that team, I don't have to do anything. I only would go like twice a month when there's a project going on. I'll just go look at it.
Got it. So it sounds like, as far as location, your strategy is, you have like the main city. So it's like Springfield and Cleveland, and you're looking in those places, but also like within like 30 minutes
around
of those too as well.
Yeah.
Got it. I like that. Very smart. So you mentioned Section 8 a lot, and there's a lot of misconceptions about Section 8. So can you talk to some of those misconceptions, and also why you decided to go with Section 8? I'm not sure if it's like most of your portfolio, but it sounds like it's something that you do quite a lot.
Yeah. So I like my money right away. There's two different investors. Some want cash flow, some want appreciation, some want both. I want both. If it appreciates, better, even better. But I want my money right now. I'm looking at how long is it going to take for me to pull this money out and do the same thing. That's my number one priority. I want cash flow. Then I want appreciation. I want all those tax benefits, but first cash flow, because I want to be able to repeat the process, right? So what other strategies there to give you cash flow right away? Section 8, because I want the bank to see money coming in so they know she knows what she's doing. I don't want to be an investor where I flip, I do this, I do that, I want to stick to one craft, master it, then move to the next one. So that's the same strategy I use. Section 8 works for me. I know for sure I will get my money the first of the month. Even the first of the month is on a weekend, I get my money 3 days before. I get that ACH notification before. So that's guaranteed for me. So I don't have to worry. And it allows me to be able to take risks, because I know no matter what, at some point, I'm like, no matter what, I know I'm getting 10,000. Even my job doesn't pay me because maybe I didn't put my timesheet on. Section 8 is not going to say you don't put your timesheet. Yeah, I'm getting my 10 grand every month, or 12 grand, or 20 grand now, whatever, right? So I was like, yeah, I need my money right away, because I need to be repeating this process. And because I'm out of state, it's going to be hard for me to collect rent. If my property manager say, oh, we can't, nobody's going to take your business like you're not gonna, the property manager will do as much as they can. They're not gonna care if your utilities are paid. They don't care. They'll still get their 10% once the tenant pay. Especially with a 3-unit, whatever, they would, if one tenant pay, they're still getting their 10% back. You have to go struggle how to pay your bill. The property manager will get paid, right? So nobody's gonna treat your business as you. So I put a system where the money goes to my account.
Definitely.
I don't have to struggle about, collecting rent, or they haven't during the COVID. It's like I knew for some reason, because during the COVID, people are struggling with rent. I don't mind. All of them are Section 8. I still get my money. I still get my money, and the bank was still giving me loans or doing whatever I need to do to them, because they see money coming in, and that's what attracts. That's how you keep like your game, because you can actually take that money and keep going. I know that a lot of people say, oh, well, you can refinance, but the refinance is good, plus the money coming in, because you're able to, at this point, like if you're struggling with, if you don't know how much is going to come in every month as an investor, you're not able to take risks. You're like, okay, what if that don't come in? For me, I can take risks because I'm looking at other deals, even when I don't have the money yet, because I know it's coming. Right. So I'm looking at this because I was like, I calculate what closing is going to be at what time. So I know, okay, at that point, I would have at least 2 months rental income coming in. I can use that. If it's not enough, I can take my own personal money and add it there, my savings, and add it there, and then I can pay myself back. So that's the strategy I use. Yeah.
Definitely. So something you mentioned earlier that I want to go back to is you were reaching out to people in different markets, and they were saying, this is an A, B, et cetera area. A lot of people don't know what that really means. So can you break down in a simple way, like what people mean when they say, oh, this is an A area, area, B area, C, D, et cetera?
Yeah. So A areas would be areas that they consider. So everyone has their own way of defining. Obviously, the places they're calling D, I wouldn't call in D, because that's neighborhood I would live in, right? So what they would call A is like an area that has like the best areas, the best schools, nice houses and stuff. B area would be, up and coming people that are like low income, but they're not low income, they average. And then the third, it just goes. So D would be people that are like, they don't have a job, they're probably on Section 8 and stuff like that. So they will call those areas D or war zone sometimes, which is discriminating, but that's how it is.
Yeah. And I just hate the war zone. I really don't.
I hate it when they say war zone. Yeah.
Because the same people will be investing there 2 years from now. Sometimes I feel like they're saying it intentionally so others won't invest there, so they can invest and buy low. You know what I mean? So appreciate that breakdown. So Yaamu, you scaled pretty quickly. So you started in 2020. 2 years later, you have 28 doors. So can you talk to us about how you scaled? Were you using the money you got from cash flow plus your job income to scale? Were you refinancing? Were you just using creative strategies? Talk to us about how you scale. And I think it's important because, That's a very short period of time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what I can tell from the interview so far is you are you're very methodical, and you're very detailed. Like, it sounds like you're counting down to the penny. So,
Yeah.
what's going out, what's coming in, what's going to the contract, or what closing is like. So talk to us about how you scaled.
Yeah. So my scaling had to do a lot with networking, right? At this point, I'm trying to learn. Like I said, I surround myself with people like I want to be landlord groups. Every city that I invest in, I join their landlord group. So I want to be in contact with contractors. If landlords have deals that they're looking to get out of, or they're looking to retire, or they have a family member. So you want to be in communities where it's like-minded people. Like if you want to go forward, because there are so many things that you learn from other people when you're around them, because you're like, oh, that's a thing, okay, I'll keep that in mind. So there's this landlord that was selling a package deal. So what they do is that real estate is huge, a lot of investment strategy. So that this particular landlord is not looking to buy houses and fix it, and like I was doing, they just want to acquire it, they just want cash flow at the long run. So they buy houses at a tax sale, right? And then they will sell it. They have a package. So how we strategized the deal was, he had the properties for cheap, but they need a lot of work, right? But he's not that type of investor. But he has the land, he has the parcel, so he'll give it to you with a down payment. So it's called contract for deed, or there's another name for it, right? For sale by for rent. I forgot the name. It's contract for deed or something like that. So what that means is the landlord will give you the property, you put it down, you agree on a down payment, and then you pay them monthly with interest or whatever
Oh, seller
strategy you did.
financing.
Seller financing. Yep, that's the word.
Can you
Contract
can
for
you
deed.
explain what that is to those who don't
Yes.
know?
Okay. So seller financing is when a landlord or a owner has a property that they want to sell. Now there's a buyer who's interested, but they come up with a strategy where you put the buyer puts a down payment on the property, and they have a strategy. So it's basically like the landlord is the bank, instead of doing the bank finance and documents like that. They might require some documents, but based on what you both agreed on. So my down payment was like, I think 2,000-3,000 on each property. These are cheap properties, like 7,000. He probably got them for really cheap at the tax sale, but it was multiple packages, so I was able to put down payment on that. So what I did was I take the one that's from the package, the one that needs the least work, I put in money to fix that up, and I take that property to pay the money, section income coming in to pay the others. And then I used my money again, fix up the second one, did the same thing, and had them all appraised for higher, about 20,000-30,000 more. So my contractor was just doing as we go, and we duplicate. So now I'm not even, the first month I came out of pocket to put the down payment down on 500 every month with no interest. So that's how we strategized, because the package was bigger. So from that on, all of that cash flow in Section 8, that's about 10,000 a month. So that's when it changed for me, like guaranteed 10,000 plus. And I make sure
how
it
many
was
properties was that?
it was a package of 5, and then he added about 3 more, something like that, 3 or 4
Single family?
single family. Yeah,
5
and one
single
of the
families.
5 single families plus 3 more, so it was 8 in total.
8. So
So
you bought an 8 package deal?
I bought 5,
8,
and then
5.
after I got 3 from him again. Yes,
So you
because
bought
I did the
8.
payment so fast. Yeah, from him. Yeah. It was all less
Wow.
than. Yeah. So one of the properties that, so the third ones, it was sight unseen. I've not seen this property, so I just went to look at the projects of the other ones. I was like, let me drive through and look at all the property. But my contractor has gone through all of them, and he did keep mentioning, there's this one is amazing. So I was like, I have to go see it. So I did pull up the Google Street Map, but it was older years. So I went in there, and there are nice houses beside it, like 150,000. The one that last sold was like 170 something. But I bought that package, that property individually would have been $7,000 on a house, and then the last parcel. So it's like, even if there was no house in this parcel, just me having this huge parcel in the middle of these buildings, just no, like there's no property in the US that's worth 7,000. Like if you go on a tax sale and no one's there, and the house, even if the house is worth 100,000, they will sell it to you at a cheaper price. So that doesn't mean the worth of the house is that 7,000. That's what people don't understand. So when they hear, like, they're not investor, when they hear 7,000, you bought a house for 7,000, that's ghetto, that's the D area. Like they tell you everything without even seeing the property. So for me at this point, I don't even tell anybody anything. I just go do my stuff. I was like, yeah, the $7,000 house. Oh, the appraisal came, now it's 150. How do you do that? you need to teach me. Oh, before when I was talking about it, analyzing the deals, and I'm so excited to tell you this thing, you're like, no, that's a D area, that's this area. So we tend to listen to, especially in our community, we tend to listen to a lot of people when because they project their fears on you. And when, even for me, like it kind of got to me, because when I was struggling, a lot of people were saying that I shouldn't be buying that area, that I know, like people that I trust, and I tell them, this is what I want to do, this house is this much. They will tell you they will tell you all their fears. And then when the problems start, I was like, maybe they're right. Now look at this, now look, this contract is cheating here, now this one is taking my money. They're probably right. But I'm like, no, it has to, it has to work. It has to work, or it has to work. There's no failure, so I make it work. I remove all of that negative energy, and I was like, it has to work, and it worked. So after the second deal, I was like, I don't care what anyone say. I know what this works, and if it wasn't, there's evidence that people are looking to buy this house high. Even if worst case scenario I sell it, I could still walk away with 60K profit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So that 5-home package deal that you purchased, do you remember how much the package was at the time?
I don't think it's up to 40,000, because there were like 5,000 houses, 7,000. I think the highest was like 15K. Yes, and when I finished fixing it for like 15, all in I was like 30 or 29,000. It appears for 60K.
Wow. So you spent like 40, 50K or so on those properties?
Yeah. So it's interesting thing is I didn't come out of pocket to pay that. I've only put the 2,000s down.
Oh, yeah,
that's what
right.
I came
that's
out of.
right. That's
yeah.
Right.
So remember, it's no interest.
Yes,
so once
yes,
the first one is fixed up, it's the house was 4 bedrooms, right? So it was 1,500 on Section A. So the 1,500 that's coming from one property pays for 3. It pays for itself 500 a month. The second one, the third one. So I only had 2 properties that I have to pay out of pocket. That's $1,000 for me.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah.
And was that in the Cleveland area?
No, that's in Illinois area.
Illinois.
That's in Illinois, like Springfield area. Yeah.
Got you. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so
that's how I skyrocketed to 10,000 a month on cash flow, and that kind of helped me, because I know, okay, 10,000 is coming in every month. All I have to do is buy another cheap house is wait 2-3 months to do it.
Yeah.
So from there, I was able to buy a house every month on cheap houses, because I buy 10,000 from this month. The next one is the 10,000 that goes towards the work for a second house. So it grew like so fast, because every month I'm fixing house, every month I'm doing turnover.
Right.
So every month, like 1,500 increasing.
Yeah. How do you manage all of this? One, from Atlanta, and 2, you still have your job. So
I still have my job.
How do you manage all that? Because this is like, you have multiple projects going on. Multiple properties. Like how do you manage it all?
Yeah. So when I found my property manager that I trust, the one that after I fired that one, now I have a team, my contractor, and mind you, they live there. So when they're fixing house, they usually move in the house. So I don't do anything while that's going on. Once they're done, my tenants have my contractor's number and my handyman's number. If they need anything, they go to that. My property manager is already there. So while they're doing the work, I manage my contractor. So every day they will send me an update video, even though sometimes it looks very blurry, but I'm able to see what's going on a daily. And then my property manager goes there to take pictures as well, to send it to me. And I still go. Like I would every project, every month, I would go like twice. I would just I could go like maybe once. At this point, I don't have to, because my team is already like self-established. Like they know everyone knows exactly what they need to do. So, but then before it was like that. So I have my property manager take care of everything. I've never been to Cleveland. I've made over 20-something thousand in Cleveland. I've never been to Cleveland.
How many of your units are in Cleveland?
4 units.
4. Got you.
Yeah.
Amazing. So you also recently purchased an 8-unit complex. So can you talk to us more about that? I really would love to dig into that acquisition, the numbers, and the plan for it.
Yeah. So what happened was, so after I got those Section 8 properties, right? COVID was already in it. Like people are shut down. It's been a year already. 2021 April, again, I guess I have a thing for April. Everybody was like to talk about Airbnb, short-term rental. I was like, I'm already an investor. Let me tap into this because at this point I'm doing Section 8. I know the ins and outs of Section 8, even though it was a short period of time, but I have multiple, houses listed with them. So I was like, okay, let me look at this short-term rental stuff. So I will listen to, again, free stuff, YouTube videos, podcasts, masterminds, and I would just join. And then I started buying courses, but every course something is missing. Every course, so I was like, this last course, I'm just gonna jump. So I actually jumped and I started doing arbitrage. I was like, okay, let me do arbitrage because that's what I was taught. And I was like, okay, the arbitrage I got right now, currently I have 16 units. 8 of them are mine, 8 short-term rentals in Atlanta. I was like, okay, in my area, I cannot afford, but this time I could afford it. But I was like, why can't I just do this arbitrage so I can supercharge my cash flow? So, okay, I got my first Airbnb short-term rental in Atlanta. And within a few months, it was going great. And then I had a booking for 40K. That changed my mind. I was like, this is crazy. I'm going all in.
Wait,
so I went
40K booking? How long did they stay?
40,000. So so this is my first Airbnb arbitrage, and this particular guest that stayed there was giving me a lot of issues. I was like, this apartment complex is gonna kick me out, and this is the end, because she was causing a lot of fees. So I went in there to talk to her because she wanted to use the pool, and she was already time for checkout, but that day maintenance was working in the pool. She said, well, she paid for Airbnb with a pool and she's gonna go use the pool. So the maintenance people were like, no, we're not letting you in. So there's a lot of commotion. They called me, so I was on the phone. I could hear her yelling and stuff. So I was on my way to talk to the property manager of the apartment complex. Mind you, this is not my property. So they was telling me stuff about, okay, they were like, well, if you told us your strategy is you're gonna bring in people and you're gonna manage them. If we're having this much trouble, they gave me a warning letter, basically.
Yeah.
So I was driving, I was sad. I was like, I don't know, I don't think this is gonna work out. I'm driving home and I got a notification saying with Airbnb notification, you get like a booking, somebody, congratulations, somebody instantly booked. And it was like a 333. I was like, 339, that don't make sense. It's not registering to me. And then I was driving then, so I parked. I was like, let me look at it. And then I saw like this person, actually the company booked for him for 333 nights. I was like, you might as well just get an apartment in your name or something. So I was like, this is a scam. I called Airbnb. They were like, yeah, it's the payment went through. It's correct. So I was excited. So the person stayed for 11 months.
Wow.
So actually live in July this month.
Got it.
End of July. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you explain what rental arbitrage is? And one thing you mentioned was like you had an agreement with the property manager, like they knew what you were doing.
Yes.
And so can you explain those two things? Because I think it's important for people to know that.
Yeah. So rental arbitrage is short-term rental arbitrage is when you don't own the property. It's somebody else's property, maybe a property management company is managing it, a couple of properties, or a landlord has a property. So you want to get into real estate at low cost. You approach the landlord, tell them your strategy, which is you want to rent from them in either in your business name or your personal name if they agree. And then with which business going the business route is more recommended because you want to scale, right? You don't want to keep doing it in your property, in your own name. So you tell the landlord, I want to rent from you, but this is my strategy. I'm going to rent to furnish this property, put it on a short-term rental platform like Airbnb, and you have to explain to them what that means and why you want to do that, why that's good for them. Then you want to rent this property from in your business name, furnish it and put it on this platform. And then once you make profit, you pay the landlord their rent share, and you remove your expenses. Then you take the balance, which is the profit. Then you scale on this, so you can get into real estate in this format if you don't have a lot of money coming in, especially for like low cost. That's what arbitrage is. So you're subleasing from somebody to lease it on a section Airbnb platform, short-term rentals.
Thank you for that explanation. And I mean, I think it's important for people to know that, because the reality of it is we're on the internet, we see all this stuff, like, there's a lot of promotion of doing it in a different way without people knowing, which is bad advice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your transparency of encouraging other people to be transparent with the landlord or property manager about what you intend to do with the property, because you can get in a lot of trouble if you don't, if you want to do arbitrage,
exactly.
and you don't go about it in the right way.
Yeah. So that's how I did the arbitrage. And I'm like, okay, I'm already a landlord. How about I get my own? Because I'm like, all this money, even if I make like 20,000 a month on Airbnb, at least 10, 12,000 is going back to the landlord because I don't own it. I was like, what if I own it? I get to keep all of that. So it's like, okay, I know I cannot afford this big apartment complex like the ones in Georgia, but where I am invested in, I can start small, right? And then at this point, because of COVID, and there's a lot of travel nurses, and I do rent to a lot of travel nurses in Atlanta. I was like, how about if I get my own and do this the same, because they're going all across every state. It's not just Atlanta, even though Atlanta is one of the popular cities when it comes to that. So I was like, okay, how about I do this? So I started looking for every city in the area that I invest in that has a hospital. So I don't care if it's a good school area. It's not, I know what my strategy would be, right? So I reached out to the bank again and I was like, hey, it's me again. And I want to invest on this. And at this point, me and the vice president of the bank already built us a relationship because how I was able to scale fast, right? So I meet up with them, schedule everything. I was like, I'm coming in town to look at some of my projects and I would like to meet. So I explained my strategy to them and everything. So I was like, okay, when you find a property, let us know. But they still did not understand, like, okay, I was making money. I'm making money in Atlanta from people's properties. But now I want to do the same strategy using my own, because eventually I don't want to keep doing arbitrage. I want to keep owning, right? I want to own this apartment complex and get to keep double the money instead of just paying the rent and saving the rest. So I saw this property. It had a fire incident in 2017. So it was vacant for like 2 years. So the owner bought the house with his wife. They want to get into real estate, young couple. So it wasn't working out for them. They were profiting like from an 8-unit apartment, like 900 profit, which is good for a normal, landlord, whatever. For me, knowing short-term rental strategy now, I did my numbers. I was like, I know in Atlanta, I'm renting this room, 1 bedroom for 3,000 and more. Even if I don't rent it for that much, 2,000 amount in this small city, it's still more profit than the Atlanta one, right? Because I have to pay rent. Over here, I don't have to pay, and my mortgage is going to be paid down. This is mine. So I found this deal. They listed it for 140 something. There was a fire, a lot of violations, and city violations. Yeah. So I was like, I don't care. I just want to get the property. I'll figure out financing on how to fix it later. So when I reached out to the bank, they was like, are you sure? Because of course they're going to pull up the address and look there. It was like, it's been abandoned. So everyone that the landlord was showing the house, they only put the nice units that didn't have the fire in the listing. So people attracted a lot of, people were interested, but he shows that the house, they go and see where the fire was and they run out. For me, I didn't care. And mind you, I did the video. I never buy the property if my contractor doesn't tell me it's going to take this much to fix it. So my contractor's been there. I traveled down there. We looked at it together. I wasn't scared, so I know what I'm looking at. It's between two hospitals, and I know there's a lot of hotels in the area. So the nurses are obviously staying at the hotel. So I was like, okay, if I have this unit, so it's a mixture of 3 bedrooms, 2 bedroom, and 1 bedroom, 8 units apartment. So the bank was like, okay, if you want it. So the bank was like, we went on a contract for 120. Mind you, 8-unit apartment abandoned, a lot of violations. So I told the landlord I will not close pending contingency was pending this violation, and I'll help him, right? So we went on a contract. The bank sent an appraiser to appraise it. Appraised like $210,000, and I just bought it for one. So it was like 90 something thousand appraisal value. They were like, this is insane, call us. So I had a meeting with them, and they were like, well, were you looking for financing to fix it? I said, yeah, by this time I already have that was my next step, but I wanted to like get that on a contract. If I don't get the finances from them, that's fine, I'll figure it out. So my contractor already done the estimate. I sent them the estimate. They were like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. They financed it for 85,000. So they financed the purchase, they financed the rehab for 85,000. So each unit about 10,000 went into it. So recess slides, new flooring, new painting, electrical, everything can change. And this is my contractor, so he's cheaper for me now because I keep him busy. He's busy always with his team. So I was like, the bank was like, okay, so based on the numbers, you don't even have to pay mortgage just pay interest only for like 3 months while you're fixing it. Because the estimate was that. So my contractor later told me that, okay, we can get it have him give me a bigger estimate just in case, because I've never done a big project like that.
Yeah.
So they were like, you know what, we arranged maybe, and this again, this goes back to networking and building a relation, building a team, right? My contractors were able to move into the apartment, right? They lived in one of the unit, the 3-bedroom one that's in a better shape. And they brought their air mattresses, their fridge, their stove, everything else. And they
Wow.
basically live there and work from 6 a.m. to midnight. And I'll be in Georgia and I'll just buy them dinner just to say, just to be appreciative. Like, even though they're getting paid, just to be nice, just to show that, hey, I'm thinking about you guys just stay in this house that is like abandoned. So what they
Mhm.
did was they started upstairs. They started the upstairs unit, and each of the units have a back entrance as well. So before they finish the work, I've already gone on Amazon and the stores and bought the couches and stuff, and I'll just fly there and furnish it. So before I go, I hired one of his guys, the workers, to help me off their time. So I've just paid them for them to put the chairs together, put all the furniture together. And when I travel, I just furnish it, list it, and I come back and wait for another 2 weeks for them to be done 2 units. So I was already making money
Right.
before they even before that. So the nurses were already moved in, so they worked their way down. By the time they were done in 3 months, I've already collected like 40 grand on Airbnb with the travel nurses.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Wow. I'm blown away. Um,
Yeah.
last question I have before we wrap. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on some of the regulations that are coming to Airbnb in different cities, or some that have already come? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on all that?
Yeah. And I always say this, right, Sam? Like, there's nothing that's gonna beat ownership. It's beautiful, it's nice to make money from somebody else's property, but they can change the roof any day because it's not your property, right? The landlord that you're renting to can decide to say, I want to do it myself. The apartment complex can decide to say, I want to do it myself. The city rules can change because people are making so much money and they don't own it. The city wants their cut in it as well, right? But if you own the property, you make your own rules, right? You make the money, you make the cash flow just like any other Airbnb host who's doing arbitrage, but also the property is yours and you're keeping it long term. So your cash flowing triple. Like for the apartment complex now, it appraised at 408 after the work was done. So that was me having about 200,000 equity in the house, which I can pull and repeat. But also I'm making 22,000, 24,000 a month from that property from travel nurses. I'm booked all the way throughout the whole year. I get in applications 4 months before. So it's like I'm getting ripping the cash flow. I have 200,000 equity in the property. It's an asset, so it's fully fixed up completely. So I'm gonna be getting money from there as I go. The previous landlord, the rental was about, for a studio was like 3 something. A 1 bedroom was like 5 something, and 2 bedroom was like 6 something. I'm getting 3,000 minimum on this units. So that is like 4 times what a normal tenant would bring in. So I'm supercharging, I'm getting the cash. So I'm supercharging my cars. I have equity in that property and it's mine and it's paying me. So, and as time going, it's going to keep appreciating. And because of that property and because of these rental properties, even my taxes, I would have paid more. Like last year, last taxes for this year, I was supposed to pay like 20 something thousand. I ended up paying like 13,000, even though I have all this real estate because I have a W-2 job, right? So real estate have, if it wasn't for real estate, I'll be paying way more. And it has changed my life completely. So I went on, I did that deal. I was like, I can't wait to get another apartment complex. And then I bought another one, like just few miles from the same apartment for 8 units for 90,000. And I was still getting people saying, there's no house in the US for 90,000. That's 5 units. I just bought it. Like, I'm not there to even, it's social media. I'm not there to go back and forth with you. But because you listen to people like that, the person's actually seeing the numbers, because I put the numbers, I put the paper there, but they're
Yeah.
still arguing there's no house in the US that's 5 units, that's 90,000. There are deals there. Just because you don't find them, just because they're not in your market, doesn't mean it's
Mhm.
not out there. Like, it does, you don't have to invest in the city that you live in. I live in Georgia. I recently just bought a house in Georgia in Savannah. So because I'm able to have all of those Section 8 houses to buy these big houses now. Now I can buy anywhere I want, but I'm stable enough to know that, okay, I have cash flow coming in. With short-term rental, the same thing. The money is coming in right away. but also I'm not just looking at one end, arbitrage just scaling. I want to take that money and buy assets for me that I own. So if the arbitrage rules change anytime, I was like, oh well, I have mine that I own. So instead of, this is like the mindset that everyone should have, especially when you get into real estate, own something. Even if you're going to be flipping, if you flip, take your profit, buy something small for you on the side and take your money and repeat. So always like, so you already know these things.
No, I mean, the audience needs to know. The audience needs to know.
Yeah.
So Yaamu, this has been an incredible interview, and you just have an amazing story. You know, you got to this country for school 6 years ago, and a couple of years after you learned about real estate and you got into your first deal, a lot of it didn't go well, but you stuck with it and you decided to persist. And here you are, 28 units later, 2 years later, after your first deal, tens of thousands of dollars in monthly cash flow with different strategies, Section 8, Airbnb, travel nurses, and so forth. So, I mean, I think it's such a great inspiration to people of what can happen when you just stick to it, when you network, and you just remain creative and persistent. So what does the future look like? You've already done so much in just 2 years. What are some things you're trying to do coming up?
I want to get into right now I'm in smaller multifamily, so I want to get like those like $52, $100, $200. That's my aim. Like also owning like small malls area, because I like to offices. Like I like cash flow quick. So those are the things I'm looking at. So yeah, like lake houses, expensive vacational houses. Well, not expensive, but great location that's gonna bring me more cash flow. Yeah.
Definitely. And where can people find you? Where can they keep up with what you have going on?
Yeah, my social media, my Instagram page is Building Wealth from Rentals, and that's the same for TikTok as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Inspirational interview. I'm charged up. I'm inspired. I'm motivated. We're gonna have you back again in some capacity, because there's so much more we could have unpacked. But Yaamu, I appreciate you reaching out to me. I appreciate your support. And this was an amazing episode, and appreciate all of you for listening to another episode of the Black Real Estate Dialogue podcast. As I mentioned, if you haven't already, please do make sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review. It helps us go up in the rankings. It helps us to spread this message all over the world. So thank you in advance for your support, and I look forward to hearing from you all soon.
Hi everyone, Sam here from the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Make sure to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button, and to visit us at blackrealestatedialogue.com.